Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy back with another reaction video. We're going to be doing a video by Established Context, really great YouTuber. Does a lot of extensive research about a lot of political or business oriented topics. And he's doing one right now on why fast food is collapsing. And to be honest, I think this one's fairly obvious. I mean, we're about to be in the middle of a recession, right? Like, fast food target themselves towards the low end of the spectrum when it comes to financials, looking for people that don't make as much money. They're going to be more sensitive to price increases. Fast food have been trying to increase their prices, and it's kind of backfiring on them. And then obviously you put in all that stuff with the tariffs and stuff like that. It's definitely not going to help. But let's see what the more in-depth answer was as opposed to my rambling for 50 seconds.
It's no secret that fast food companies have been struggling the last couple years. But for a while, the fast casual brands were actually bucking that trend. They were holding up better because they were offering more perceived value than traditional fast food. But those days appear to be over with. Fast casual is getting hammered right now. Chipotle, Kava, and Sweetgreen have all watched their stock prices fall off a cliff recently, some down more than 50% from just a year ago. And they're all saying the same thing on their earnings calls. Younger customers aren't coming as often, and when they do, they're spending less. A study from TD Cowen backs this.
Oh, that's my bad. I thought you were just talking about fast food in general. So he's talking about um, fast casual. So he said Chipotle, Kava. So you probably put Moe's in there. I'll be honest. I hate Chipotle. Like, not even due to the food, but the service is so ass. And honestly, you're better off just going to like your not even like a local Mexican place, but just any small like Spanish place in your local area. It's probably going to give you a much better deal and have better tasting food than Chipotle or any of those corporate places anyway. So that's probably the real answer. And then obviously they're going to be feeling the squeeze even more when it comes to these tariffs and stuff because they're going to have to try to import a lot of their food, and they have to import it with the guise that the food is higher quality than your normal fast food, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all that stuff.
Up, it found that unemployment, lower spending power, and higher living costs are dragging younger customers down. And when that happens, dining out is the first thing that they cut back on.
Chipotle, why is it $23.92 for one burrito?
Kava costs $16 for a bowl.
Now, everyone knows Chipotle, but in the past, when I've mentioned Sweetgreen or Kava, there's usually a handful of comments saying that they've never heard of these places. And that's fair. Their footprint is tiny by comparison. Chipotle has nearly 4,000 locations, while Sweetgreen and Kava are still in the low hundreds. But conceptually, they're basically siblings. Sweetgreen is the salad version of Chipotle, and Kava is the Mediterranean version. All three are public companies, and all three sell what people online love to call slot bowls. Now, here's the important part. Everything we're seeing from these companies is recession behavior. Kava's CEO, Brett Schulman, literally said this in a recent interview.
We got a little bit of a window into what might be happening with the fast casual space when Chipotle Mexican Grill, they really took a hit with their stock when they announced that they were having the same type of difficulty. So is there anything you can do to fight that? I mean, obviously with the tariffs, it's more of a do we raise prices, but would you consider tweaking your prices?
Well, this is a very intense discount promotional environment, the most intense since the Great Recession.
Really?
In fact, 30% of all restaurant transactions were tied to a discount or deal in the last 12 months.
Now, that signals consumers are clearly tapping out. But here's the weird contradiction. Despite traffic slowing and restaurants everywhere scrambling for value, none of these three are offering any real value menus or meaningful discounts. They're just holding the line, even as the customers who built these brands start pulling back.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think they have much of a choice because, like I said, the imports that they probably bring in are probably too expensive to really try and um, have any real price increases. Especially because if they do, and that's the only reason I could go there, and they start selling at a loss, and that kind of just becomes a new normal, it'd be hard for them to, I guess, try to trend back towards pricing normally again, and losing those people when things, I guess, become more stable. So I guess they're just trying to eat the loss. But like, I mean, I guess it gets to a point where like, what exactly is their breaking point going to be, and when are they going to reach that? So I think that would be an interesting thing to talk about, which I'm sure he's probably going to.
This is because fast casual has tried to separate themselves from fast food while still competing with them. They don't want to get into the value wars the same way McDonald's or Wendy's has to. And I'm not saying that won't change in the future, but as of now, they don't seem motivated to start. And to be clear, all three of these companies are in very different financial situations from even just one another. Chipotle is the biggest and frankly is still raking in billions in revenue each quarter. Kava is doing okay, but has had their accelerated growth trajectory slow way down. And Sweetgreen, on the other hand, is still not profitable as a business. In fact, they've been losing more money this year than they did last year, which investors are finding extremely concerning given that they've been around since 2007. So not only have they been around almost 20 years and they're still not profitable, they told investors when they went public back in 2021 that they expected to be profitable by 2024. Now, for Sweetgreen, this is largely due to their G&A expenses, which is general and administrative costs, aka the executives are being paid too much. But let's get into some more of the specifics here. See, Chipotle said on their earnings call that they expect their same-store sales to decline for the full year of 2025. And this metric is one of the most important ones for larger restaurant chains because it tracks revenue at existing locations that have been open for at least a year. Now, this won't come as a surprise, but investors want to see that number continuously go up. Chipotle also warned that younger people are dining out less, saying that the 25 to 34-year-old group is pulling back and they're eating at home instead. Sweetgreen reported a decline of almost 10% in same-store sales over the third quarter compared to a year ago. Their CFO said on the call that the 25 to 35-year-old consumer is the most under pressure.
I mean, duh. Like, I don't know why they're saying this. Like, this is some kind of surprise. And I'm not saying he's saying that. I'm talking about the CEOs in these meetings. Like, no freaking crap that the group of people with the most volatile financial positions, especially living by themselves, are not gonna want to buy your expensive ass bowls. Like, and honestly, I don't even know why they would market themselves. See, I don't even know why they would market themselves to this age group, especially given the times that we're going through. You would think, if anything, they should be trying to market themselves to the age group above, like the 35 to 45-year-olds, because they're going to be more financially stable. They're still probably going to be young enough that they're not going to be cheap. And I don't know, because I guess, I don't know, maybe you would assume maybe like those people in those age groups, right? Like if they're probably married, they'll just have like their spouse like make food for them and some crap. But I don't know. I just think it would probably make more sense to try to target the older crowd that already have the type of financial stability they're looking for.
And they make up about 30% of their consumer base. Now, sales from that demographic dropped roughly 15%. That's quite a steep drop. But then again, they're selling salads that range from $14 to $20. Sweetgreen is probably the most expensive of the three fast casual chains, and it's really starting to hurt them. Kava CEO pushed back on the notion that they're selling overpriced meals. He said on the call, quote, "Well, the reality is you can get a chicken fillet at Kava with all the toppings included, 3 different spreads, greens, and grains for $10.65 to our highest price of $13 in New York City. So that's a sub $13 bowl in the most expensive market, not a $20 lunch." And here's the thing, all three.
Okay, so what about the drink? Like, do you guys have any sauce? Like, so you basically, he said just get the bare minimum, no drink, and pay $13 for that. Like, what are we doing?
Three of these companies are hinting at, even if they don't want to say it directly. They've priced themselves into a corner. For years, fast casual brands relied on steady traffic and consistent price hikes to drive growth. While some took more price hikes than others, for a while, customers tolerated it because everything else was inflated too. A $12 to $14 bowl didn't feel outrageous when rent, car payments, and groceries were all exploding at the same time. But that cycle has clearly hit its limit. You can only push prices so far before people begin to pull back, and it's clearly been a war of attrition on the consumer.
If you want to get pissed off, look at the price of Chipotle from just a few years ago. A steak burrito was $6.85.
I got one burrito extra meat. And I'm thinking like $23 for a burrito with extra meat. The amount of meat it probably should have had, but you guys give us so little of meat that we have to ask for an extra serving.
And the steak cost me $17. I paid $17 for this.
All three of these companies are saying the same thing, just in slightly different ways, that the consumer is finally hitting a wall. And in my eyes, what makes this moment different is who is pulling back here. See, these brands don't rely on lower income customers the same way traditional fast food does, like McDonald's. Chipotle said 40% of their customer base makes less than $100,000 a year. Those numbers are likely similar or perhaps even higher for Sweetgreen and Kava because they have less locations overall, and a lot of the locations that they do have are over-indexed in high cost of living areas. So all three are catering to a very similar core audience, higher earning millennials and Gen Z.
Okay, so I guess I have to take back my criticism from a couple minutes ago. So stand corrected there. But I think, like the guy is saying, that probably just speaks more to just how screwed our economic situation actually is then, because even those of us that are supposed to be quote unquote comfortable and chilling in this economic system can't even find it financially rewarding or available enough to get casual meal bowls, like the people that are supposed to be comfortable. So, yeah, I think that says a lot with just a little.
And for a while, these were the exact people who were supposed to be insulated from some of these economic woes. All of this is to say, when even they are cutting back, I think it's a sign that the broader economy is a lot more fragile than the headlines make it seem. And I've made this point before, but if you think about it, if you're in your mid 20s or early 30s right now, everything in your life is more expensive. Rent is record high, groceries are still expensive, even if they want to say CPI has moderated. Insurance is insane, student loans came back, and most of all, wages aren't keeping up anymore. So when you layer all of that together, the first thing that's going to go is this $15 to $20 lunch habit. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I know most of you watching this probably aren't shocked by this. Restaurants across the board have been struggling, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that the prices went up way faster than wages. The pandemic era cost increases never fully reset, and now the consumer is finally tapping out. Personally, I'm of the belief that we're already in a recession, just not an official one. And I know some people have been saying that at different points over the last few years, but right now the data actually lines up with how people are feeling. The thing propping up GDP right now isn't the consumer.
I think the thing propping up GDP right now is the movement of like the 1% in terms of like their asset building and stuff, and then the fact that there are like not as many costs because companies are just not doing as much because of the whole tariff situation.
At least not the average one. It's the billions of dollars tech companies are dumping into AI. If that spending all of a sudden disappeared tomorrow, the economy would look a lot more like what most Americans are experiencing. And fast casual chains like Chipotle, Kava, and Sweetgreen are already living in that reality. Now, speaking of AI, a lot of these big companies are already using it as an excuse to cut staff, even in jobs that AI can't actually do. It's basically become the new corporate cheat code.
Okay, so it seems like you have another video, so we'll probably definitely check that out at some point. And you guys definitely subscribe to the channel. The channel is really good. But yeah, do you guys even still go to these fast food restaurants? If not, what are your go-to grocery store orders? Because grocery stores are expensive too. What are your, if you do go out, do you go out to fine dining, or do you just stick to your good old fast food like McDonald's and all that stuff? But yeah, let me know in the comments section below what you guys be up to. Most importantly, remember to have a good day.